if you're unable to get sound through the live portion of it, you can then watch it at a later time. And if you see anything on the screen that looks weird, just get with me through chat. Okay, so as I was saying, the screen in front of you is the self-service screen that we've had since we launched about 1.5 years ago. It's got wide tiles here on the left side. On the right side, you have listed common service requests as well as popular Ask Tom articles. You have the ability to search for either a service request or an Ask Tom article. And you have the ability to chat. Give me 1 second here. All right. Apologize for that. Rob just kind of reminded me I should probably include the portion about the recording in chat for those who couldn't hear me. So that's what I was doing. All right. So the Remedyforce system will be updated on Monday, March 6th at 7 a.m. And it's going to change the look and the feel of the self-service side. Like I said, this is what we've known and loved. And the view that you will have come Monday morning will look like this. So you see it's already a big difference. The branding is a little bit different. We don't have that big blue bar right here. We've replaced it with a gray one. Your tiles here to the left are much smaller. They're not as wide and doesn't take up as much real estate. Your common service requests and popular Ask Tom articles are still listed. However, they're listed simultaneously, whereas in the current one, you get your service request here, and then if you want to view your popular Ask Tom articles, you have to click over here and kind of toggle between the two. But once we go through the update, they will both be listed simultaneously here. One difference is for this area, they only display 6 at a given time, whereas previously you could list, I think, about 10 of them at one time. So you do have a smaller number that are being displayed at a given time. If you see this number right here, it'll show you how many actually exist. And so if you want to view more than those 6, you see there are 9 common service requests. You can click the all button right here, and it will show you the remaining number of common service requests. Okay. And then if we only have 6 Ask Tom articles listed here, but you would also have another all button here if you had more than 6, so you could view the remaining popular Ask Tom articles, if you will. So that's kind of the big difference for these two areas. For requested service, the way it's traditionally looked is when you click on that tile, you have a list of categories to your left that can expand and collapse. And then you can view categories, subcategories, and the different offerings based on those categories and subcategories, all in that right frame. Whereas after the update, when you click this request a service tile, you will have your categories that will then be listed in this right frame. And then when you click on that, you're then taken to a page that has your offerings there. So there's no more kind of collapsing and expanding the different categories and subcategories. It just takes you to the actual page that you want to view. Okay. If you want to go back, you just hit your back button. And if you want to go home to that home self-service screen, you can click that. To view Ask Tom articles, you can click there, and it will give you the list of Ask Tom articles. One difference that is probably not an enhancement concerning the Ask Tom articles is that previously we were able to, if we wanted to hit View Ask Tom articles, we were able to categorize them. So if you click on the academics, you could see all the Ask Tom articles that fell under the academic category, alumni, bursar, so on and so forth. Whereas in the new one, they've taken that functionality away for some reason. I'm not sure if it's a defect or if it was purposeful. But I do have a ticket open to try to figure out why that exists and see if we can get that back, because we have several hundred Ask Tom articles, and to search manually through a list of several hundred is going to take a while. Now you can search for them here through this search box, but if you just want to kind of browse through them and the new release, there will not be a way to kind of categorize those. So that is, like I said, not an enhancement. It's probably a step back. But this is how the Ask Tom articles will be viewed here. If you would like to open one up, you can just click on the Ask Tom article, and it will be displayed in kind of a pop-up looking window. The browser does not treat the article as a pop-up, so you don't have to worry about having a pop-up blocker turned on. You can just scroll through here and view the actual article. So it's a much cleaner. If we want to look at like an existing one, the way they currently look, once it loads, you'll see you've got a lot of white space here, and you have your question way up here in small font, and your answer down here in small font. It's just not very aesthetically pleasing. Whereas in the new one, it's all right here, centered in the middle. It's bigger font. It looks a little bit more modern. It gives you the ability to do some kind of rich text enabling, where you can bolden things, you can underscore things, so on and so forth. You can put your hyperlinks in here. It just looks a lot cleaner. Additionally, you have the ability to embed video. So you can take a YouTube video, where it's not solely YouTube, as many other services that host video, and embed that video directly into the Ask Tom article. So we've taken one just for demonstrative purposes and embedded a holiday video that the university had here. You see it just plays directly into the Ask Tom article. So I believe that's something that we'll be leveraging in the very near future, is to take our Ask Tom articles, and if we currently have videos that could answer those, we can throw those in the articles, or also develop new videos to help answer those questions, just to make it easier for people to understand what that answer is. That's a nice added feature. You have the ability to print that article out if you do so wish, and also rate the article, give any feedback, and then to say if it met your need or not. And then you can submit that, and then that's received by the service desk, so we can know what we can do to improve upon that article. So that's how you view your Ask Tom articles. Like I said, you can still search for them here as well. So if I just searched, say, for iPrint, it would give me the list of articles. This is a dev, so it's a little bit slower. So I don't have any service requests, but if I click on Ask Tom articles, it should give me the Ask Tom articles related to iPrint, which it does here. So like I said, you may not have the ability to kind of sort your articles through categories, but you can just search for them here. This tile for request Tigerland supplies it's simply a link to the website that people can go to that actually order paper and toner for different labs. So it's not applicable to everybody. It's just a link that exists for a select number of people. This report emergency outage is something that currently exists. It gives you the ability to just kind of let us know very quickly if something is not going on as expected. So maybe you have internet issue in your office or your building, or something that's very quick, and you want to report that immediately. You can click it here, enter it here, and you don't have to worry about filling out information and trying to find the appropriate category and so on and so forth. It's a quick and dirty, if you will, way of entering in a ticket. What you'll notice too is in the current release that we have had, when you're in the self-service screen, you have the ability to view all these different tabs. And I've got many more than most people since I'm the administrator, so most of you probably only see about 3 or 4 of these. But one of these tabs is to go to the console. Now, this is what the staff uses to work on their tickets. So only staff members would see that. However, in the new self-service, those tabs don't exist at all. So if you're a staff member and you want to get to the console, you have to click on this link and that link, and that takes you to the console. So, and then once you get to the console, you'll be able to view all the other tabs that you've had. Okay, so that's one that exists. for our end users that haven't traditionally seen the staff console, just let you know what it is and why it exists. Okay, so Yolanda, I will answer your question in just a minute, but I do see it. So what we also notice in these tiles is there is not a tab here to be able, or a tile rather, to be able to view the tickets that you have within your name. So in our current release, you have a tile that reads view tickets and requests. And when you click on it, it kind of gives you a list of every ticket that you've had entered in, either that you've entered through self-service or one that perhaps you called the service desk and they've entered in under your name, and so on and so forth. But as we noticed, that doesn't exist in the new self-service. Now, obviously, we're going to still give you a way to view your tickets and requests. It's just in a different means. So you'll notice down here where it reads looking for existing tickets and requests, view in my activity. So remember the way that it looks in the current release. You have those lists. Now, if you click view in my activity, it's a whole lot different. It gives it to you in a chronological order. So let me zoom in on this a little bit so it's better to see. So what you have is every ticket that was entered in from the latest date on down to the oldest. So you see these are tickets that I've entered in today. It gives you the time that that ticket was entered in, the ticket number, the status of that ticket, and what the category of that ticket was. Okay, and if you keep scrolling, you'll see a ticket that was entered in yesterday, 21st of February, so on and so forth. So you could just keep on scrolling for infinity until you get to the latest or the last ticket that you had. So on this one, the last one I had was in January 23rd. Okay, so Bambi asked, does this by any chance remove the issue of not being able to see tickets that have been submitted on behalf of others? So what it does, I mean, you only have the capability to view your own tickets that have been entered in under your name. Um, you can still enter tickets in on behalf of someone else's name, but you cannot view tickets that someone else has had under their name once it's been entered. So I can't go in under my account and say look at tickets that have been entered in under Bambi's name for security purposes, because who knows what information might be in that ticket. So you don't have the capability to view someone else's tickets, but you can say I need to enter a ticket in for this person, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. I don't know if that answers your question, or if it will answer your question when I show you how to enter that ticket in for on behalf of someone. But if not, let me know. So like I said, you've got your tickets that are in a chronological order. If you click here, you can separate between a ticket and a service requests or all. By default, it's all. For our environment, I imagine most people are going to leave it as all, because most people don't really care whether it's a service request or an incident. They just want to see every ticket. So I just want to let you know what that was. If you want more information about the ticket, because this is kind of just a preview, you can just click on it and it will give you, let me zoom back out, it will give you your ticket. You have these different sections here that you can click on that will expand, and that gives you more detail. So you see these details here. If I click on that expand, it gives me kind of the meat of the ticket, if you will, let you know everything that was entered in for that ticket. And then you can collapse it if you want to, or you can just keep scrolling to the next section. For your notes and attachments, if you have any notes or attachments, you will have this kind of a gray box here that will have a number within it, and that lets you know how many attachments and how many notes you have entered. So you see I've got one here. If I expand on that, it will show you the one attachment I have for this ticket. It gives you the date and time that attachment was submitted. It gives you the actual file. So if you want to click on that and download it, you can. And remember, this is your ticket entered in for you. So you can kind of view all that information. I don't have any notes on this ticket, but if I did, I could click on it and view what those notes were. And if I want to add a note, I can very well do that here too. So I can say, hey, this is a test note, and hit add. It's going to think about it, and then threw that ticket, that note in there. So now you see I have a 1 for notes, and if I expand that, it shows me what that actual note is, and then timestamps when that note was added. Okay. If I want to edit, say, any of this information up here, you can hit edit, and then you can edit whatever that information is. And if you decide you don't want to, you can hit cancel and kind of go back to it. If you want to close it, so let's say you opened up a ticket and you got that issue resolved, you no longer need any attention to that ticket, you can hit this button in the upper right corner, close service request, and that will actually, and then it prompts you, are you sure? Then when you click close, it actually closes that ticket out for you. So, and it tells me I don't have an impact, so I can't close it yet. So now I have to go through here and select an impact. So now I should be able to hit close here now. All right, so now it tells me your ticket number has been closed and gives you that ticket number. So now, after about a minute, this will refresh, or I can just manually refresh this, and this 265 will change from open to close. It's already closed in the system, just kind of the view hadn't updated yet. So now you see where it's closed. Okay. So that's kind of how to view your own tickets that have been put in. Some people I received positive feedback from, some not so much, because it's different strokes. Some people like that or that big list view, and some people like this chronological view. But unfortunately, there's no way to give preference to the other. This is just the way that it is in the new release, and so that's the way we kind of got to roll with. So let me show you how to enter a ticket. I skipped how to enter a ticket and jumped straight into how to view your tickets. I wanted to kind of jump that first because that's kind of the thing that I think people do the most, and it's got a lot of details to it. So as I said, you've got your service requests here, the common ones, and then you can search for one up here, and you can, if you want to kind of look through the different categories, you can click here and kind of search through your categories. So what you do is, let's say I want to ask an Ask Tom question, if you will. I've searched Ask Tom. I can't find the answer that I'm looking for, so I want to find what that answer is. So I can click on this service request, and you see it kind of pops up just like the Ask Tom article did in the center of the screen. Once again, it's not an actual pop-up, so you don't have to worry about pop-up blockers or anything. So let's say I want to create this Ask Tom question, or ask it rather. If I want to enter it in on behalf of someone else, I can still do that. So if I come up here, you see where it says on behalf of in the left side, automatically it's set to enter it in for yourself. So you don't have to worry about that. But if I want to enter it in under someone else's name, you hit this edit button right here. And let's say I want to enter it in under, I'll put Hugh's name. So you just search for that person's name. And then once it finds their name, you click on their name, and now it just says on behalf of Hugh Busby, and requested for Hugh Busby by Robert Rose. So that lets you know that you are entering that ticket in on behalf of someone else, but you are the person that actually created the ticket or requested that ticket. So that's how you request a ticket for someone else. If you decide that you want to undo that, or maybe you selected the wrong name, if you want to change that name, you can just hit edit and then find the appropriate name. So let's say I want to put it under this Christy Ruffin. You do that, and that changes the name. But let's say you just change your mind, or you selected that erroneously and you don't want to put it in under anyone else's name but yourself. You can just click this undo. When you do that, it switches it back to just your name. So then you don't have to come up here and edit and find your own name. You can just hit undo, and it puts you in under your name. So as you scroll through, it will tell you the list of fields that need to be entered in. Those that are required will simply say required above it in an orange font. Previously, anything that was required was denoted to the left of the field in a solid red bar. Now it just says required. Also, in the current release, The field labels or the description of the field was marked at the left of the field. So it would say question here to the left and then actually have the field. Whereas as you see now on the new release, the field label or the description of that field is directly above the field. So this first field right here, question, is denoted right here. So I can just type in a question. And then none of these other questions or fields rather are required. So I don't have to fill them out, but if I do so want to, I can. So impact would be just me, urgency, and is low. And I'm just clicking on these fields. And as soon as I click on it, then the option pops down here. So if I want to change this from low to something else, I click the X, and then now it gives me the different options. And then I enter a callback number. And then you have the ability to add an attachment. So let's say I want to throw an attachment in here. It's much easier than the current release, because the current one, you've got this field down here. It gets really confusing, and it's kind of hard for people to understand when an attachment has actually been added to the ticket or not. It's not very clean. But in the new release, you just got a paper clip, and you click on it. It takes you to your computer to where you can kind of find that file that you want to add. So let's say I want to add this one right here. Once I do that, it gives you the name and the file extension, and that's it. Like it's on that ticket. Now you still have to hit submit for the ticket to go through, but it's there. Let's say you erroneously threw a file in there and you want to put a different one in. You can just hit this trash can, and then it asks you, hey, are you sure? You click yes, and then it removes that attachment, and then you can go in and add the right one if you want to. Okay. So then once you've got everything filled out that you want within that ticket, you can just click submit. It's going to think about it for a second, and then it's going to spit out a ticket number for you. So now it tells you what your ticket number is and lets you know that it's been submitted successfully. Okay. So that is kind of the differences. Everything else that exists may look a little bit different, but still functions the same. When you're ready to log out, you just click on your name here and hit log out. You have the capability to chat with someone at the service desk Monday through Friday if you want, and that icon is still at the bottom right corner. Like I said, you can search here. That search will look for service requests and ask time articles. Now, Yolanda asked earlier if a ticket was submitted a couple months ago concerning iPrint, could you use this search field right here to search for that ticket? You can't use this field. This field right here is only to search for kind of the categories or the keywords of these service requests and these ask time articles. You can search for that ticket on the staff side, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute if you want to. So, but you can't do it from the self-service. It has to be from the staff side. Okay. All right. Bambi, did that answer your question about the on behalf of? And while I'm waiting for a response from Bambi, does anybody have any other questions about the self-service? Like I said, the look and the feel is a lot different. I mean, like I said, this is what we're coming from, and this is what we're going to. So they're trying to make it more modern, a little bit cleaner. I think they've taken a step in the right direction. Maybe not there yet, but I think they're going the right way. A lot of people complain about the look and the feel from not just here, throughout like all of BMC's customers, about the way Remedyforce looks. So they're trying to make it better. Okay. All right. Well, if there's no other questions on the self-service side, I'm going to jump over to the staff side and touch on that. So if you're just wanting to get information about self-service, you're more than welcome to kind of jump off at this point. But if you want to hang around and view the staff side, you can do that as well. May not be anything you ever see or use, but if you're just curious, you can hang on. And then if you have any questions, about the self-service that you think of later, you can shoot me an email, rwrose@memphis.edu. or email Tech, and we get that answered for you. Okay. And Yolanda says the categories are very confusing. Can they be simplified more? Um, I agree that they are very confusing. They you sometimes you have to kind of know the exact uh, wording of service request to be able to find it, or just kind of know the hierarchy of where that ticket is or that category is. So I do agree it is complicated. Um, it is something that we kind of just ported over whenever we moved ticketing systems, but we never went back and looked at it again. And then we are looking at that right now to try to clean that up. Try to look at the naming conventions and see if things can be renamed, maybe to make it a whole lot easier to find. Also, to look at the categories and subcategories, determine that maybe something doesn't need a subcategory. Maybe it can just go to the root level, or maybe something needs an additional subcategory. So we are looking at cleaning that up and getting that taken care of. And let's see, Yolanda has in the chat that she receives complaints that people take a lot of time to submit tickets because they don't know what categories to use. Like I said, I totally agree with you. It is very confusing and not the most intuitive way to find a ticket. So it is something that we have acknowledged. We are looking to correct that and address that. And I hope that that will be addressed very, very, very soon. So I agree with you. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to jump on to the console now because there is quite a number of features added to the console. So I want to make sure we have plenty of time for it. All right. So for the console, like I said previously, uh, there were tabs up here to be able to access the console. You could just go when you log in, you get taken to self-service, and then you could just click on the console to go there. Whereas in the new release, there is no tab. To get to the console, you have to click on the staff console tile, and then you have this link here. When you click on that, it will actually take you to the console. So what you'll notice immediately is that it looks a little bit different. The branding is different, whereas in the current release, you've got this blue bar up here, and then this font is kind of it's just kind of a basic looking font here. Where in the new release, it looks a little bit different. You've got this bar and it's kind of a gray with some orange highlights, and unfortunately, we can't change that yet in the console. Yeah. Hopefully in the next release or two we'll be able to change the branding on the staff side. They gave us the ability to on the self-service, just not the staff, so we do have to deal with this orange and gray, which is BMC's kind of color scheme for them, and that's the vendor that produces this product. So we're just going to have to deal with that for right now. What you'll also notice from this view too is that some of these tickets are kind of gray or black, and then some are in a bolden blue, if you will. Whereas previously, all tickets were just straight text, just regular black text, nothing special about them. Well, the difference is, and the reason why we have some in blue and some are gray, is they're trying to take an approach kind of like email. Whereas, through most email clients, when you have an email that's been unread, it's kind of in that bold look. And then if once you click on it or read it, it goes kind of to like a normal font. They're trying to take that approach. It's not necessarily exactly the same, but think of it in that scheme. So you'll notice this one right here, this very first one, it's in blue and bolden. If I open it up and view it, and then I go back, it's still going to be in blue. What this blue denotes is that you have a ticket that has not had an action taken on that ticket. And what that means is there has not been a note added to that ticket or an email to the client from that ticket. So it's trying to let you know that there is something that needs to be done with this ticket concerning the client. You should probably reach out to that client or at least acknowledge that ticket, even if it's as simple as just adding a note to the ticket to say, I'm working on this or I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Because once you do that, then this ticket will go from this blue bold to just a regular font. So we're going to do that real quick. So you'll see this one right here, like I said, it's 264. So I'm just going to come up here to actions, add note, and I'm just going to just type in test, if you will. I'm going to hit add, and it's added that note to the ticket. So we'll come down here to details, and you see now that note is added to that ticket. So now when I come back over here, it refreshes about every minute. But if I don't want to wait on the refresh, I can just click this button down here to refresh, and now you see it's no longer that blue, it's just a regular font color. So it's just an easier way to let you know that, hey, something needs to be done to that ticket. And like I said, it also works with email too. So let's go to this ticket right here, 249. So if I open it up and I come up here to actions, email, and I want to send an email to that client once my window loads. So I just want to send an email to that client. So we'll notice now in the details that email has been added and sent. That's 249. Now we'll notice once I refresh here, 249. Well, once I refresh here, 249 should go away, or not go away, but rather change the bold. I don't know. It's hanging for some reason. I don't know. I've done this a million times and it's always worked, so that's kind of concerning here. Let's see. I don't know unless I send it to myself, and maybe that's why. So let's do a different ticket here. So let's say this ticket is, well, I gotta change a ticket. So let's create a new ticket under someone else's name but mine. So I'm gonna pick on Hugh since he's not here. So we're gonna select his name. I'm gonna save this ticket, and what we'll notice is the ticket 67. It should be in bold, and it is. So now we're gonna go back to the ticket. We're gonna send an email. And we'll notice now that email has been sent. And I don't know what is going on. So that is concerning. I know I've tested that 1,000 times and it works. So I don't know if it's because something in this test environment or what, but I got to make a note and look at that. But the way it does work, and like I said, I can attest to it, is that anytime you just add a note or send an email to that ticket, from within that ticket, it changes from bold to the normal font, which, like I said, we saw a second ago with the note. Hold on a second. I'm making a note to check that out as soon as I get off of this session. Okay. All right. And like I said, well, this is our dev org too, so I don't know. But anyway, so that's the difference between the bold tickets and kind of the normal looking font. Another thing that I know is going to be loved by many people, including myself, is that since we launched, we've had these column headers here that are only customizable from an enterprise level. So whatever the administrator has listed has to be viewed by each and every person, regardless of what department you're in or whether you kind of want to see them or not. A lot of these things listed up here in this column header are only important to, say, the service desk. Like this ticket reviewed is only needed by the service desk. There's one for a password reset callback time that we've currently got over here that's only needed by the service desk. So there's a lot of things that's not applicable to everyone. And what it also does is it makes these columns, there's so many of them, it takes up so much real estate, and then you kind of gotta have to expand and narrow out the columns just to see some of this information. So it's not clean at all. So what they have done is they've given each individual user the ability to customize these columns yourself. So you can set this up the exact way that you want it to look, and your coworker who sits in the desk next to you can do the same thing about how they want it to look. Um, it's something that, like I said, I think everybody's going to love, and including myself. The way to do that is you'll notice in this upper right corner you have these three lines right here. And when you click on that, you'll get a pop-up down here, or like not a pop-up, but another window down here that gives you the list of columns that are currently displayed, and then any available columns that aren't displayed. One difference is that now in the new release, you can only have 15 columns at a time, whereas currently, I believe it's like 20. So they are cutting down the amount of columns that you can view, which I think we have 16 that are currently displayed in this view. You can only have 15, but I don't see a lot of people, once they have the ability to customize to exactly what they want, can't see many people putting more than 15 out there. But the way that you do that is you can either drag and drop, or you can use these arrows to move columns over from one side to the other. The one caveat is that this number always has to be listed and always has to be first. Aside from that, you can reorder things how you want, and you can make them viewable if you want, or take them out. So let's say you want uh, the client ID, so you want to know who the client is. That should be listed up here by the number. Let's say you don't want to know, when it was closed. You can just drag it over here. Or let's say you don't want to know what the respond by date is. You can just click on it, move that over. And you can just play around with it and get it however you want. Whenever you're satisfied, you can click save, and it automatically refreshes to the settings that you have chosen. So now you see the client ID is up here to the left. I don't have the close date anymore. It's however I want it. Like I said, that's specific to each individual user. Another thing concerning the column headers, is what these are called, is that traditionally you've been able to adjust these widths, but it was only good for that session. So you can make whatever column as wide or as narrow as you wanted to, but as soon as you logged out, the system kind of forgot your widths. Next time you logged back in, you had to redo it, and that was kind of annoying. Um, so they've improved upon it a little bit. They haven't totally corrected it, but they've improved upon it in the sense that now those column widths are stored in your cookie. So I can adjust this size to my preference, and I can log out and log back in. And as long as I haven't cleared my cache, those column widths will stay the same. So, but if I do clear my cache, delete that cookie, I got to redo my column widths. So, like I said, it's not completely fixed, but it is better than what we have had, where it was just good for that session. So, I think some people appreciate that too. Also, you'll notice there are a couple of new columns that we have. Um, what we've taken is we have had these lights here that were responded by respond by date. Well, it actually is respond by progress, and this didn't exist. We had issues with this column because some people complained that the lights were too hard to see. They couldn't figure out which light was lit up and which one wasn't lit up. They were very small. And then the lights weren't responsive. They didn't work the way that we needed them to. So just briefly, what happened with these lights is when a ticket is created, depending on what the impact is and the urgency is, it gives you a date and a time that you're to reach out or to take action on that ticket. So if a ticket is critical and is for the enterprise level, it says, hey, you only have a couple of hours to add a note to this ticket or to send an email to the client or do something with that ticket. If you did that, so let's say you got a ticket that said you only had a couple hours to reach out. Within 10 minutes, you did reach out. The lights didn't show you that you did that. It wasn't responsive. Only thing these lights did was it paid attention to what the actual date was, and it let you know where in the timeline you were of those dates. Whether you made an action or not, these lights didn't care. So that wasn't very, very responsive. It didn't give us what we really needed it to do. It just, like I said, it told you where you fit in that timeline. So what we did was we went through, first we changed these icons to make them a little bit easier to see, and wrote some custom line in here to make them responsive. So what we did, like I said, these lights are a little bit bigger and easier, I hope, to see. And now if you add a note to a ticket or you send an email to a ticket, the time stops as far as that light is concerned, if you will. So if it tells you, if you've only got 2 hours to respond to a ticket and you add a note or send an email to that ticket, as soon as you do that, that light freezes where it is. If it's green at that time, it stays green, regardless of how long that ticket stays open. If it's red at that time, it stays red. Whereas, like I said, the previous ones, or the ones we have right now, the clock just keeps on ticking, and so that doesn't kind of let you know whether you've actually reached out to that person or not. So we'll still have both available, since you can kind of customize these columns as you want. You can use one or the other, but it's up to you. You can use both, but I just want to make sure everyone understands the differences between the two. We will kind of look at the naming of the two, because we renamed this one. This originally was a due date progress. We renamed it to respond by progress. So the new one is actually acts like a respond by progress. So that's what we've named it. So we got to figure out what we're going to rename the original one to. So the naming right now is just going to be old respond by progress, which, like I said, is not the best naming convention for it, but it very well could be changing the name of that. But just know that it is the lights that we kind of have been using since we launched, and what they do, because there was amongst a lot of people some confusion of what those lights actually did. So hopefully I've explained it. It can be kind of complicated, but hopefully I've explained it to where everyone has an understanding of what they do. Also, you'll see now that there's a new icon called Client Update. So what this is also a custom icon that was written in that lets you know if a client has responded to a ticket since you last have. So let's look at this ticket, for instance, 243. So if we look at the detail section of here to get the actual history of the ticket, we'll notice that, say, Hugh sent an email to the client on the 28th at 1:14 p.m. But then the client came back and added a note saying, "Hey, I need some help," on the 2nd at 9:19 a.m. So what that means is, hey, this client has last reached out or added something to this ticket since you last have as a staff member. So it's just a better way to let you know, hey, the client needs some help. So hopefully this icon here, in conjunction with the Bolden tickets, will let you have a better idea of what tickets kind of need to be addressed. The Bolden will let you know that there hasn't been anything yet acted upon in the ticket, and this icon here will let you know the client has reached out. There should already be an email that's sent to let you know that a client has emailed or added a note to a ticket, but sometimes they get lost in different folders or not received, or something like that. So hopefully this this icon will allow you to get an understanding of that as you're looking at your tickets from this list view. Okay. This search function here kind of is going to address the question that Yolanda had earlier about searching for a ticket that was entered in. Say someone created a ticket concerning iPrint, and you want to find what ticket that is. If you just type in that information here in the search function, or the search field rather, it should help you find that ticket. Now, it if we open up a ticket, what that search box field right here is going to look for is it is going to look for any of these fields that have that word, that keyword within it. So if you have any ticket that's got template in it, or description, or anything down here, it's going to look for that. And if you find something where it's not doing that, let me know. Uh, one one thing to be mindful of is that you, you need to be as specific as possible, because whenever you search for a ticket in that manner, it's not going to give you any results over, I think, 10,000, which I know is a large number, but we've got a large number of tickets right now that have been entered in. So if you look for something that's like maybe password, well, the service desk does tons of password resets throughout the day. So try to get it as granular as possible. So if you happen to remember the client's name, search for the client under the client's name, or maybe your own name, or something kind of specific about that ticket. Try to search for that, and be don't try not to be as general, if you will. But that is how you do search for information within the ticket from this search field up here. All right, so let me show you what has actually changed from within the ticket. So notice now when you click on a ticket, what we've had to do in the past is in the top where we have these client details, we've had these alt fields. Now they're in a different place for most people. They're listed up here in these client details section instead of down here. But then we have all these alt fields that may have people's information in there. And the reason those exist is if a ticket is entered in, say, as Tiger student, or Tiger staff, or Tiger faculty, whenever you save that ticket, it loads that Tiger information here. But these fields traditionally have been read-only, so you couldn't change that information. So if I wanted to view, or if I wanted to edit someone's information, so I'm going to impersonate Alicia. I'm just going to pick on her right now. Oh, would have helped if I'd have hit login. So I just want to give you an exact visual representation of what I'm referring to. So, let's say I want to enter a ticket in a Tiger student. When I do that and I hit save, it throws that information, the Tiger student and email name right here, but you can't edit this information. It's read only. So we had to include these alt first and alt last and alt email and all these alt fields so you could still record what that person's actual information was, since these were, like I said, read only. Well, what we did to kind of help that situation some was we made these fields read write. So now what that gives us the ability to do is it gives us the ability to remove those alt fields. So you don't need an alt first name, alt last name, an alt phone, email, so on and so forth. You can just use the standard fields that exist for everyone. Also, we took the first name and the last name fields and combined them into just a client name field. We really didn't see a need to have a field for a first name and a field for a last name. We just took one, combined it, and so it shows you the actual full name. The first name and last name fields still exist in the background because some people do have reports that run and that use those fields. So we wanted to make sure not to remove those fields in case you had a report like that. So those reports will still work. All this client name field does is it takes the first name, adds a space, and then adds the last name. So it just gives you a cleaner visual representation of what that person's name is instead of breaking it up. Also, we renamed the U number. It had always said banner ID. We just renamed it to U number to make it easier to understand for some people. Also, too, like most other fields within the update, traditionally required fields have been denoted with that solid red bar. Now, like I said, it's got required, and your label for that field is in the above the field as opposed to the left of it. Okay. One important thing to note about this ticket and the read write is if you do enter in a ticket, and let's say you put it in under your name or someone else's name, and you save it, but then maybe you put the wrong person's name in, or you realize it should be in under someone else's name. So let's say this ticket here shouldn't be under Robert Rose's name; it should be under Hugh Busby's name. So you click on your client ID, you search for Hugh Busby, and then once you have Hugh's name in here, you click save. Well, what you notice now is when you click save, it really doesn't update everything. So you see, like, it updated the client name, but everything else is still, like the email, my title, everything else is still that previous person's information. To make sure that all these fields update, you need to check this box here that says overwrite client details. If you do that and hit save, it will then update those fields. So now you see it's got all of Hugh's information in here. But like I said, you only have to do this if you change this client ID. So if you enter it in under someone, you hit save, and then you need to change it to something else, make sure you check that box when you hit save. Because if you don't, it won't update all this information. It'll just stay what that previous person's was. Okay. That has to exist because without that, if you just enter in Tiger Student and hit save, it would overwrite that manual information that you put in here. So once again, only if you change this client ID do you need to check that box. All right, so let me go to a different ticket here. I can use this one. So a couple of additional features that are pretty cool about the new update. First, to enter in or to assign a ticket to someone or to a department, what we've had to do in the past was you'd either have to come up here to the department, click your magnifying glass, search for that appropriate department. So let's say I need to assign this to the Remedyforce queue. You'd either have to click over here or click on your actual department maybe and then hit save, or maybe you had to come down here to Remedyforce, you click on this little kind of person icon, then view the people in there, and then click on that. Well, now, if you're in a ticket that is assigned to a department you are a member of, and you want to take ownership of it. So right now it's assigned to Hugh, but now I'm taking ownership of it. Now it's my ticket. If you just hit set, if you come over here to this icon here, this is like kind of a little black silhouette. If you hover over it, it will say assigned to me. If you click on that, it automatically assigns it to yourself, and then it changes from black to green and a check mark. Okay. So like I said, make sure though that you are in a ticket that is assigned to a department you are a member of. So let's say if this ticket here is assigned to the continuing ed department, okay? All right. So let's say I get this ticket and I want to take ownership of it. I can't just click on this icon because I'm not a member of the continuing ed department. It has to be in a department that you are a member of. The reason that exists is because many people are members of multiple departments. And without this validation, if you clicked on that, it wouldn't know which department to assign it to that you're a member of. So, like I said, you can only use that if it is assigned to a department that you are a member of. But it is still a pretty cool feature. And it does allow you to know quickly if the ticket is assigned to you or not. You can, of course, look at the staff name, but you can also look at this icon here. And if it's green, you know it's already assigned to you. And if it's black, you know it's not. The last pretty awesome feature about the update is this activity feed. So traditionally, to add notes or send emails, what we've had to do is come up to actions add note, or email. And then to view any existing notes or emails, we had to come over here to details and then search through the history. But now what they've incorporated is an activity feed. So we see this little arrow. If we click over here, this will pop out and it gives you all the information that is in the details. So you have all your client notes, any emails, any attachments. If you want to view more information, so because it gives you kind of a little synopsis of the email. But if I want to view the rest of it, I can hit show more, and it'll expand and give me the rest of that information. Like I said, it gives you your attachments, so you can view all that history. But in addition to that, you can add new notes and send new emails and add new attachments from here too. So if I want to send it, if I want to add a note, I can just click this little plus sign here and hit my note and hit add, and there it goes. It just adds it, tells you note's been added successfully, and then once it disappears in a couple of seconds, I can see that note that was added. And then if we bounce over here to details, we'll notice that's the note that I just added is there now as well. If you want to send an email, you can do that too. You just come up here to this envelope, type in whatever email you want to send, hit send, and then let you know the email's been sent successfully. It'll disappear, and then it gives you all the information about that email that was just sent. So it gives you the capability to do everything that you were doing from up here, but now you can just do it from this activity feed, and you can view the history too without having to bounce back and forth between details and service request form. If you want to add an attachment, you can do that as well. Just scroll to the bottom, hit this paperclip, and you hit save, and then now you've added that. Tells you it's been added successfully, and now you will see it in the list. Okay. And this icon here just kind of refreshes it, so you may not use it a lot unless someone else is in the same ticket as you, working in the ticket, same ticket as you, doing some things. You might want to use the refresh, but I don't know how often different areas do that. The system does remember your preference for activity feed, so I have it popped out here. If I open up another ticket, it will open up that ticket with that activity feed popped out. So once this ticket loads, it takes a second, the activity feed will pop out automatically. And then likewise, if you have the activity feed popped in, the next time you open up a ticket, it will open it up with the activity feed popped in. Okay. All right, so I have run right up to the time, but that is kind of the training. The only things that have changed are that self-service side and the console. Nothing at all has changed with the reports or the dashboards. If you click on reports, it looks kind of the same as what you've already known, and same with the dashboards. Like I said, the console and the self-service, the only thing that's changed. I do have a note to check in on this email on why that didn't update. I know it works in other orgs, and like I said, it may just be something with this org since it's kind of our dev org. But the key features for the console are being able to customize these different columns here, these the bold in the different tickets, the assign to me button, and your activity feed, as well as the alts going away and making all these fields read right. Okay. Like I said, I know we're now a little bit over time, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I think I muted everybody to make sure we didn't have any feedback. So if you have a mic and you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself or just put that question through in chat, and I'll be more than glad to get that answered for you. Or if maybe after this training you think of something that comes to you, you can just email myself or email UMTech, and I'll get that answered for you. Once again, the update will be Monday morning at 7 o'clock. Will be for everybody at the university. So all students, staff, faculty, everyone that logs in will have these changes. When will the recording be available? The recording, as soon as the session, I end this Blue Jeans session, Blue Jeans processes the recording depending on the length, which is going to be right about an hour. It'll take probably about 15 minutes to record that, or excuse me, to process that recording, and then I can make it available to you. If you just send me an email to let me know that you want that, I will send it to you, and I'm going to answer this in chat too. All right. Let's see. Do. All right. Okay. Hugh says the recording needs to be closed caption. Hugh has more authority on that than I do. My opinion would be if a specific individual wants the video that doesn't need closed caption, and we could give it to you before the closed caption is ready, and then make the closed caption available after that, because it does take time to manually transcribe the audio. Because Hugh is saying the recording is going to be available after next week, but like I said, my opinion is that if you need the video without the closed caption, we can get that to you specifically to you if you don't require it. But anyway, any other questions? I'll hang around here on Blue Jeans to answer anything comes through in chat. Or like I said, if you have anything that come up afterwards, feel free to just email myself or Tech, and we'll get that answered for you. Okay, thank you, Hugh. All right. For those of you who are dropping off now, appreciate it. Thank you for attending, and looking forward to this update. I'm really excited about it.